course, and that leads us on sort of nicely to the essence of this interview, really, and sort of the issues within the game as a whole. I wrote down a list of issues. I put safety, participation figures, attendance figures, growth, finances, contracts, and as you say there, the league structure. Firstly, focusing on rugby union as a whole globally, from both a playing and an administrative respect, just how bad is it, and who is to blame? World Rugby to blame in particular?
Oh, they have to take a lot of the blame for the way in which the game is now, because they are not addressing this issue of safety, and they still don't. They think they do, but they don't. The reason for that, in my view, and it's not an informed view, but it's just my view, is that if they were to all of a sudden put in place laws that would be demonstrably safer, they would be doing themselves a lot more harm by doing that in the court case that's coming up in respect of the head injury issue, right, and the CTE issue. Because if all of a sudden they were to come out and say, well, yes, this is what's been wrong, we did nothing about it, and here's the solution. If I'm a lawyer, I'd be saying, this is a bloody slam dunk win. And that's why they won't do it, in my view. That, plus also, they're just so, they're just so stuck in the past. They are so, all they're interested in is 15s and 7s, the Rugby World Cup and other tournaments that they can get going. They're doing the game a disservice, hugely a disservice. The game's in a mess under their stewardship. It's up to them. They're the world governing body. They should be doing stuff to improve the game. And we saw in the last Rugby World Cup, I suppose along with other people, said this World Cup just gone is going to be dominated by rugby officials and the people sitting in the bloody box up in the grandstand refereeing it from up there. And that is exactly what happened. And so therefore that World Cup was remembered, not it was remembered for a couple of close games, but that was about all. The rest of the discussion was all about referees and TMOs and the like. So they have to take a lot of the blame for rugby's ills, but then so do the coaches of rugby teams. You see, when back before the game went professional, coaches were they did it for the love of the game. They might have been paid a bit of boot money, who knows, but they had jobs and all that sort of stuff. So they were much more rounded, right? Like players, much more rounded. But then you get the coaches coming in, and we got some really good coaches in Super Rugby, for example, that wanted to play a running game. Then all of a sudden they realized, oh no, if I play this brand of rugby, not brand, I hate that word, type of rugby, and we lose, I'm going to lose a really, really high paid job. Okay.
Yep.
So now the coaches have decided that the way the game should be played is bash and kick. They're just going to bash it up, bash and drop, bash and drop. It's worse than 5 tackle kick, which is what I described rugby league as on one occasion. Got myself into trouble with Phil Gould, but I was defending Super Rugby, which he called basketball on grass. I'd rather have that than what we've got now, or rugby tennis, or whatever word people are calling it. And I look at the coaches and I say, where is the inventiveness? Where is the guile? For the Welsh team, for example, and I've been very critical of Gatland as a coach, because he's just coached all the Welshans out of the Welsh rugby system. Because all they do is
Eddie Jones into this category as well. Some of the sort of style of rugby
I put Eddie in. Eddie's a good friend of mine, but I put all the coaches in the same basket, because they basically decided this is the way we're going to play the game. Now, to all the people that might listen to this, watch it or whatever, I'd urge them to go and look up Law 15 in the law book. in the existing law book, and look what it says about the ruck. All pretty pictures, great words. I haven't seen a ruck played according to the law for about 20 years. What they call a ruck now is nothing like what's in the law book, nothing like it. But what's happened is that the coaches decided that this is the way they're going to play the game. And World Rugby has abrogated their responsibility. And we see all the referees, you get Wayne Barnes getting crucified. It's not his fault. It's the fault of World Rugby for not actually giving him the tools to be able to referee the game properly. And I thought that, after what happened in the World Cup final, and I think Wayne Barnes is a great referee, by the way, as a former referee myself, I really rate him as a referee, but there should be a case for the World Rugby to answer for not providing their employee duty of care. They have a duty of care to everybody in the game, including the referees. So if they're going to make the game impossible for them to referee, doesn't that send a message to them? No, it doesn't, because they are never in receiving mode, World Rugby. They're always in delivering mode. This is the laws according to World Rugby, not just laws of the game, but just the whole thing, right? They ought to get themselves into receiving mode. And the fact that they're not going to do that is, I think, problematic for the game as a whole.